And he's leaving room open for quite a bit of criticism. So like what we've been talking about so far in the conversation, but then I don't know if you saw today the clip of Kamala Harris sort of it seemed like she just slipped up
Oh,
in
yeah.
what she was saying.
A Harris administration together with Joe Biden.
But the media is
Yeah.
running with the fact that she's actually going to be the person in charge, and Biden is just kind
Yeah. Okay.
of a cardboard cutout, which I don't necessarily buy that. So I think she just slipped up. These people talk in front of cameras so much, you're going to slip up what you say. But I think he left things open by kind of being a cardboard cutout, right? He hasn't really done much that actually is getting people to think he's going to take charge and get in there and make a difference. So he left this opening for the media to take that kind of attack, I think.
Yeah, so if you didn't see this, oh goodness, I just got an ad pop up on my screen. So if you didn't see it, yeah, Kamala Harris accidentally refers to it as the Harris administration during a roundtable. Slipping up, saying that it was going to be the Harris administration. Look, Chris, I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. This was like a misspeak. Even if she is like partially sort of fantasizing about like sort of getting onto the role and like really, taking in, like winning possibly or even winning in 2024. Look, she was running for president literally just a few months ago, right? Like a few months ago, she was talking about the Harris administration, right? And how this was a future administration. I honestly think this is just a slip up, and people reading too much into it. Come on, man, come on, like chill out a little bit, chill out a little bit. People say the wrong things sometimes, and trying to read too much into it. There are other things that you can criticize. There are legitimate things you can criticize the Biden's campaign for. There are legitimate things that you can criticize him for. And quite frankly, this isn't one of them. Like, find the legitimate criticisms and use those. That's my opinion.
Yeah. And I think, with the news the way that it is, where it's a money-making machine and much news is 24/7, they just need things to talk about. But as at least I'll speak for myself here. I spend enough time in front of a camera that I say things where after it comes out of my mouth, I just go, what? But if you're making a video, you can just edit it. And then if you're on stream, you just sort of correct it. But I can understand if you're Kamala Harris and you speak enough in front of a camera, you're gonna say the wrong thing from time to time. Yeah. And so someone here is mentioning that some people, there's kind of these rumors going around that Kamala Harris is going to step aside after the election, and sort of Biden was just kind of the face to get us there. I don't know. I think it might, even if she was in charge, I think it would make sense for her to have just Joe Biden kind of sit in the Oval Office for 4 years while Kamala Harris kind of steps in there, and then have her be the legit president for cycles after that.
I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. I actually wouldn't be surprised if the vice president plays an extra level of importance in a Biden administration than it may, typically, right? Like Joe Biden didn't necessarily win on policies. He kind of just won on this idea that, look, we've got to beat Trump. Let's pick a moderate. And also, let's keep it real. Joe Biden isn't, he doesn't talk as clearly as some other figures. Now, I do want to also qualify this very importantly, which is that Joe Biden does have White House experience. That's really, really important when it comes to running the White House. So I do think that Joe Biden, if there ever were sort of a conflict between Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, Joe Biden would be able to outmaneuver Kamala Harris strategically in terms of just knowing how the White House runs, knowing how the executive branch works, if that makes sense, much better than Kamala Harris would. I mean, we saw, for instance, with George W. Bush and Dick Cheney, where Dick Cheney had all this White House experience and he could really pull the strings behind things because he just knew how the executive branch worked in a way that George W. Bush simply didn't. And my guess is that Kamala Harris is going to be, spending her time during these 4 years just learning how the executive branch works, because it does work very, very different than, sort of being an attorney general or being a senator or anything like that. So there's going to be a learning curve for Kamala Harris in that respect.
And it's funny you mentioned that, because that was exactly a comment I saw in my chat here, which is that it's like Bush Cheney, Democrat version of Bush
really?
Cheney. So yeah, kind of thinking just like the people in my chat here.
We think alike. We think alike.
Yeah. So I don't know. And maybe he's more savvy than I think, but I know obviously Biden has been around for a long time in politics in the Senate, but I guess I I wonder how much participation he really was having when he was vice president. I mean, obviously he has more experience, but
I mean, he is older, right? Like, and we do
right.
need to talk about those limits. My view, I don't think that it does the left or even just Democrats in general like any favors by sort of pretending like these problems don't exist. Because as you know, let's say that he does win, these problems are going to suddenly start popping up, and they're going to be in the news cycle, and that's going to be the main news story. And it's probably not a good idea to just look like a hypocrite suddenly, after Biden is sworn in, suddenly turning around talking about all these things that you were keeping quiet. I think let's be honest about these limitations, and then also point out limitations when it comes to Donald Trump, and be like, let's see, right?
Yeah.
So I
And they're
think that we
both
should talk
horrible.
about
I mean,
this.
they both share a lot of those things that worry people.